Baylor at SMU. And this is another one that is going to be extremely fun to watch. Now, SMU is currently a 3-point favorite, and these are two offenses that have a ton of talent. And this one could be an absolute shootout. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case. However, I do like the offensive firepower that we are going to see. Now, Baylor's coming off a loss to Auburn, so that's not exactly the way you want to start your season, but there were plenty of things to be excited about. The offense clearly has a ton of weapons, a ton of potential to put up points. The defense is dealing with a couple of injuries. It's dealing with an underwhelming performance. However, I think that SMU is not Auburn. That's going to be a nice thing for Baylor. It's still going to be difficult, though. Now, the nice thing for this Baylor team is Sawyer Robertson was phenomenal against Auburn. I think that he played really well, and there are certain things that obviously you want to see him fix, but he is going to be a threat to SMU. Sawyer Robertson last week, 419 yards and 3 touchdowns. You saw the depth of his targets downfield. Cole Wilson was a great addition this offseason. 8 catches for 134 yards. Michael Trigg stepped up in a big way last week. You also saw Ashton Hawkins get involved. This is a passing attack that's extremely dangerous. You also saw the rushing attack find some depth. The loss of Dawson Pendergrass before the season was always going to hurt, but you were able to get a guy like Caden Knighton to step up in a big way. Bryson Washington is obviously the RB1, but having Knighton step up, and it's clear that he can compete at this level. That's going to be very fun to watch, and it's going to be exciting to see what he can do for this team going forward, because you were worried about depth when Pendergrass went down. You have Knighton step in, and it's clear that he can handle the physicality of this game. The passing attack, like I said, is going to be just fine. It appears that they're in a good position to make plays, and the depth of the pass catchers is something that's going to be difficult to stop if you're any team facing the Baylor Bears. Stopping the run is going to be a big thing. We saw what happened last week. Auburn was very good running the football against Baylor. Part of that had to do with the injury to Jackie Marshall. This is also a defensive line that looked a little bit overwhelmed at times. Finding ways to put them in successful positions, because SMU's offensive line is going to be good. Now, is it Auburn's? I don't think so, but we're going to find out if that is the case or not pretty quickly. Now, Baylor is going to have to get to Kevin Jennings as well. Finding ways to be disruptive. I think early in the Auburn game, they were doing a good job of that, and Dave Aranda has to go back to the drawing board to figure out how he can do that against Kevin Jennings, because Kevin Jennings has the wheels to be able to hurt you. So you can't just send any pressure that you want. You have to find ways to switch things up, create pressure in unique ways, mixing up the pre-snap looks. That's been a big thing so far in week 1, is giving different looks pre-snap versus post-snap. And we just talked about this, but this is going to be the same thing. Kevin Jennings struggled against Penn State in the college football playoff last year because Penn State was giving those different looks. They were simulating pressure and then dropping back into coverage, and Jennings wasn't able to read it. The biggest question for Kevin Jennings is his ability to read a defense pre-snap versus post-snap, understanding that just because this look might appear to be one way doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be that. And that's going to be exciting for SMU. But if you're Baylor, how do you find ways to throw him off? How do you disrupt him? If you can't get to the quarterback, are there other ways that you can disrupt his flow, disrupt his rhythm? Obviously, you want to create tackles for loss and sacks, but if you can't get to the quarterback, are there other ways that you can gain an advantage? Are there other ways that you can limit those explosive plays? I think the other thing for the offense, too, if you go back to that, is finding the mismatches. Michael Trigg clearly was a mismatch for Auburn. If he's a mismatch for Auburn, he's going to be a mismatch for SMU. And now SMU had a good defense last year. This year's a different story. We don't know what this defense is going to be. And if you're Baylor, you have to push the issue to find if SMU actually has that go-to player, if he's actually going to be that weapon or not, and is he going to be that Big Ten player that they want him to be. Now for SMU, you got to keep everything in front of you. Michael Trigg is a mismatch. Cole Wilson and Ashton Hawkins have tremendous speed. The nice thing is that SMU has plenty of speed as well, It's just that it's going to be the same as what Baylor has. That's going to be a problem, and you have to find ways to slow down this offense. I think Jake Spavital does an incredible job for this Baylor offense, and he is going to put a lot of pressure, a lot of strain on SMU to make plays. To be able to slow them down, that's going to be a big key. And if you're Scott Simons, you have a lot of work to do. And it's going to be a lot of work to slow down an offense that has this much talent, that has the ability to make some of these plays happen. And SMU is going to have their hands full. The nice part is that SMU's offense should be able to pick up right where they left off. They didn't have to do a ton last week. Playing East Texas A&M, we knew we weren't going to get a ton. We knew that this offense and Rhett Lashley were going to keep things mostly vanilla, mostly bland. That is something that doesn't help Baylor in a sense, but also you have a full year last year to look at what they like to do. The personnel is going to be a little bit different. They get back RJ Maryland. That is a mismatch for SMU to exploit. Romello Brinson has proved to be, in just his one game so far this year, an explosive threat as well. Rhett Lashley has done a great job of bringing in explosive talent, and he has a guy in Kevin Jennings that is the right guy for the job. He's going to distribute the football. He's also going to be a part of that. Another thing to keep an eye on with, how do you limit the turnovers? Dave Aranda is a great defensive mind. He's going to find ways to keep his defense in different looks. Can Jennings respond to that challenge? Is he able to actually take control of a game and understand what this defense is trying to do? Because if he's creating turnovers, he's forcing turnovers, giving the ball back to Baylor, it's going to be a long game. If he's not, if he's taking what the defense gives him, he's making the right reads, SMU has the talent to be explosive. And this is going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be a physical game, and I really like what both sides bring to the table. If I have to look at this game as my only game of the weekend to watch, I think it's going to be super fun. And honestly, it might be the best game of the morning slate. It's still going to be a game that has big implications for both sides. Baylor's 0-1. They don't want to go 0-2. SMU's 1-0, and they are trying to get back to the college football playoff, and they're going to have to do so in a conference that appears better than it was last year. Clemson's going to be good. Miami looked really good this past weekend. Florida State pulled off the upset against Alabama. SMU has a lot of work to do if they want to get back to the ACC championship game and as well as the college football playoff. This is going to be a big one, but I think it's going to be a fun one. I do like Baylor in this one. I think that they have a lot of talent, but I'm very excited to watch what both sides can do to win this game.